which in total means I should complete about 1,200 hours of studying per week. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing great, I hope you're feeling great, and I hope you're in a mood to discuss the final year of uni. No, I said discuss, so if you have any thoughts, any comments, drop it down in the comments below and let's start discussion. Now, there are many different ways I can take a video titled How Hard is the Final Year of Uni? So what I thought is, I'd start by talking about the average workload I have per week, both what I should have theoretically and what actually goes down, and then break it down further, comparing this final year to my earlier years at uni, seeing how hard this year is in comparison. So, without further ado, let's talk about my schedule. So theoretically, I have 120 credits to study for over the course of the year, with, as a guide, each credit needing 10 hours of studying, which means in total I should complete 1,200 hours of university work over the course of the year. Now divided by the 30 weeks of the term, that puts you at a 40-hour work week, which is pretty much standard for any 9-to-5 job in the UK. Now that doesn't sound too hard to achieve, but is this actually what goes on? Well, for me personally, this term I have 6.5 modules. And when I say a half module, I call it sort of a half, it carried over from last year, or last term should I say. It shouldn't have, but due to COVID, there was a slight pushback. We couldn't do in-person presenting, which I told out for as long as possible. Whatever, it just meant we had to cover some work at the start of the year, but we'll ignore that now because that's done and we've got on with it. So let's just say that I do 6 modules, but acknowledge there was a bit more work at the start. Those are split into 3. So I have 3 exam-based and 3 coursework-based modules. Now, work varies for each one and it varies week to week, but generally this means I have 5 pre-recorded lectures to listen to and 4 interactive sessions to attend over the week. This is with some modules not running any of these sessions, some running them twice, some running them every other week, and just averages out, that's what it is per week. To go through each pre-recorded lecture, it probably takes 2.5 times the recording length by the time you've paused it, digested it, understood it, and took notes and so on. So say if it was 1 hour, it'd take you 2.5 hours to get through. If it was 2 hours, it would take you 5 hours, etc. And as for the recording length, they're meant to be kept under 2 hours per week per module, but they can be a bit longer than that, shall we say. But if we balance that out with lectures that don't take up the full 2-hour time, and we sort of average it out and give it a bit of leniency, we'll say they average 2 hours of pre-recorded material per module per week. And if you times that by, I said it takes 2.5 times the recorded time to actually go through it, that gives you 5 hours. And then you take that 5 and you multiply that by the amount of pre-recorded lectures you normally have to get through in a week. We'll say that was 5 again, so that's 25 hours. That's your first 25 hours of work you need to complete per week. I hope this isn't as hard to listen to post-edit as it is making it. Please let me know down below if it's quite complicated and I'll try and explain it a bit better. Whilst with the interactive sessions, they tend to last for 1 to 2 hours. Again, we'll be quite conservative, we'll round this down to 1 hour as that's the most common length they are. Times that by the 4 hours that I normally have per week, that'll give you about 29 hours worth. So you're already almost 3/4 through the way of your allocated time. You haven't done any coursework and you haven't done any actual learning outside of just attending seminars and lectures. Now, if you think you can get away with doing all of this in just 11 hours, oh boy, it's not that easy. I would say at least another hour a week gets taken up with group meetings as we have a lot of group work to go through. That takes us up to the 30-hour mark. And then from there, let's say you spend an additional 5 hours per week on each module with coursework in order to, collate the research, get through what the reading you need to do, begin to put it together, write it more concisely, get your notes down, get your referencing in, make your tables, etc, etc, etc. So that again, 5 hours per week, times by 3 is 15, add that to the 30 you've already got, and there you go, there's 45 hours of work. However, you then still haven't done any preparation for your exam subjects. Let's say you do, again, a conservative estimate. Let's say you put in 2 hours of, say, reading and note-taking wider on that. 2 hours per subject per week. That then is another 6 hours, bringing the total up to 51 hours. We're still not done though, there is another stage, and that is acquiring all the knowledge that you need from the industry by checking the property news, for instance, on a real estate degree, or listening to podcasts or going to extra talks outside of your course. That can easily take you up another couple of hours to about the 53-hour mark. On top of that, couple trying to search for a job or an internship in such a hard market to break into, like the real estate sector, which is what me and my cohort are currently trying to do. That can comfortably take up another 3 hours a week, taking up to the 56-hour a week mark, which is a far cry from the 40 hours set out and quite a lot harder, especially given that a lot of the estimates here have been on the conservative side, but it's by no means impossible to manage. I would say if you follow this sort of structure or guide in your final year, you'd achieve somewhere from a mid-low 2-1 all the way up to probably a low first. So I guess the key takeaway is that although it's 40 hours spread out over the terms, I wouldn't say it's split evenly, as I probably had less than this to cover during my first term. I just wasn't paying as much attention as it wasn't such a pressing issue. Plus obviously around coursework deadlines there tends to be a lot more work that goes in as you've left things to the last minute and you have to just pump it out. Now 120 credits of modules isn't new to final year, something that's happened every single year of uni. However, in previous years you've been able to get through the work a lot quicker. I'm not sure whether it was designated to have 10 hours per credit, but it certainly felt like you'd get through it quicker. I feel like I'm almost doing as much work this year per week as I was doing in my first year week and my second year week combined. I don't know how true that is, it's just what it feels like. So it makes life pretty difficult, pretty challenging, pretty hard from that sort of perspective. And it only becomes harder when you consider factoring in a part-time job. Say just for 10 or 20 hours can easily then push you up to 66 or 76 hour work weeks. Or even if it's something on the side like this, like a YouTube account, or if it's joining part of a society, it quickly racks up your time even further. However, the flip side of this is, as it's your final year, courses tend to be a lot more specialised into what you want to go into, which for me at least I've found that the work I am being set, although there's a lot more of it, I'm finding it a lot more interesting. I'm wanting to learn more about it. I'm intrinsically motivated to go out and do the work because it's something I enjoy. I'm enjoying completing the work more than any other time since I've been at uni. And I'm really enjoying the challenge. In fact, I'm loving every second of it. And maybe the part-time job will have the same effect as that. So say like a society would, or like this YouTube channel does for me. I love every second of it. The other thing that's making my final year easier is I'm not having anywhere near the number of hangovers. Funny that really. I suffer from hangovers pretty badly. I have it for a few days where I find it really hard to concentrate. I get bad heads, I don't do so well. And it means I generally find work a lot harder and I tend to push out a poorer quality of work. Now, partly due to COVID, partly due to I can't afford to take the time off, I'm not drinking as much, meaning I'm not having as many hangovers, which means I'm able to churn through the work a lot quicker and to a higher standard, which makes life easier. And another great thing about the final year is that there is pretty much no social pressure whatsoever. At this point, peer pressure is pretty much a thing of the past. For an example, as long as you turn up to a lecture in clothes, I don't think anybody will care whether it's a suit or whether it's your pajamas, just as long as you know you are actually dressed. The whole idea of you must wear this or you must act in a certain way or whatever, it's just dropped. It dropped when we first came to uni from sixth form. I mean, it just drops each year. The best thing I can do to recommend to become more popular is just be polite, just be somebody people want to spend time with, just by being friendly, being bubbly, etc. There's no element to where you can't enjoy things or you can't go deep into things, just do you. There is also the element that in your final year, your friendship groups tend to be more stable. You've either been together and been very close for 3 years, or you've stopped trying with people that may have been toxic. You know your friends' strengths and your friends' weaknesses a bit better, you know what they like, you know what they don't like. And life is just less stress from that point of view. You also at this point hopefully know a bit more about uni life. The whole thing of cooking, cleaning, budgeting, etc. Getting everything sorted. These probably aren't that new to you anymore. And whilst they were very hard at the start, they just become part of your routine now. What is interesting about final year though, is I found for me personally, let me know if you disagree, is that hope cycles are exacerbated. Now what I mean by this is you'll wake up one morning and you'll think, yeah, I'll get a first, that's very easy. I'm gonna ace this, I'm gonna go and get a job at Google. Life is sorted. And then you'll wake up another day and everything will be a struggle. Even the most simple tasks will seem that hard that they're impossible. And you start wondering how to tell your family that you're going to drop out of uni in your final year. And it's completely natural to have these thoughts. And by final year, they may have come and gone through your mind a whole lot of times. Maybe you can be better at managing those expectations when they get too high, or bringing yourself back up when you're feeling too low and you're feeling that everything's too difficult. Another positive about the final year is that I actually find myself with more money. Now, I'm not sure this has anything to do with me being better at budgeting, but it's the fact I'm not going out as much, and this was partly a COVID thing. I'm not spending all the time, which means I have more surplus cash. I should probably be doing something smart with this, and I have no doubt that you will, but I'm quite a big foodie. So most of this extra cash tends to go on dining experiences or higher quality ingredients. But as I said, you probably know a much better way to spend the money than I do. I know I'm jumping about the place here, but going back to what makes final year hard, or harder than the first couple of years of uni, should I say, is you're presumed to know a lot more things. As I mentioned above, you take 1 to 2 hours a week to expand your industry knowledge. You're expected to know what's going on in the world of practice, what are the trends, who's doing what. You're presumed to be able to carry the workload that you're given. the only thing you're giving less presumption on is benefit of the doubt. So make sure when you're writing your essays, you're giving little doubt that you know all the knowledge. But again, that's another thing for another video, but keep on track here where possible. It can place more stress on you. As I mentioned before, this isn't as likely to be new. You have more stable friendship groups, and the little tasks will become that little bit more easy to do. So you're better at releasing the pressure and the stress as well. Also, from an academic standpoint, with these presumptions, it can give you a lot more freedom to pursue what you'd like to, particularly if you're doing a dissertation. Whilst this can make life hard as you don't have as many breadcrumbs to follow down the trail, it can also lead you to go off and discover the things you want to learn about, go down the alleys that you want to pursue, and that's what I said, that's when it gives you the motivation to wake up as soon as you know it's something you like. It's a lot easier to study for it. There's also this proper adult life lurking just around the corner. We have to get a job, etc. But that hasn't really hit home with me yet, and I don't know many people it has hit home with. So I just thought I'd bring it up, but it's not something currently making third year, or final year should I say, any harder than my previous years. Just hasn't set in and hasn't had any effect yet. But yeah, that's everything I have to share with you today. Thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful rest of your day.